What do you believe is the encryption fallacy? Where are people fooling themselves into believing that encryption can do and what it can't do?
When you encrypt data, now you're losing functionality or usability of the data. With any existing encryption approach, when applications or users tend to want to use the data is no longer encrypted. So there's the fallacy.
The real value of a system and or the data is how you can combine it with other things, other companies' data. And today, every company, their customer data is their competitive advantage. So we're very concerned about how that data gets accessed or used.
This comes from Craig Herder. So how do you draw the line between the data protection and usability?
With our approach, data stays encrypted throughout the life cycle. When you share data or when an organization shares data with other organizations or partners, we can enable them to perform their activities on encrypted data without the need for that data to be decrypted. When you locate those sensitive attributes, whether they're PII, PHI, or any kind of sensitive attributes, you encrypt them, then you essentially taken out the ability to link it back to anybody or anything that's meaningful.
All of our proprietary competitive advantage comes from the data that we have about our customers or that we collect about third parties. Where you can multiply the value of that information is when two parties that don't necessarily trust each other can have their data integrated and produce more important data by combining it in some fashion, and then neither gets a chance to see the other's data.
Two from Ron, who have both been voted up considerably. Should governments mandate encryption requirements? But he also adds, should encryption and data security be a requirement for data analytics and computer science students?
I wouldn't say encryption in itself should be part of the required learning, but data security absolutely should be. People associate data security with encryption without realizing how limiting today's encryption is and all the things that it doesn't do. Giving them a holistic perspective of what data security is, how to achieve data security beyond the notion of just compliance and a checklist is absolutely critical.
Anybody involved with business these days needs to have a higher level of appreciation about data security. As technology gets better, it's only going to become more and more important. So I couldn't agree more that it's a big part of the curriculum. In terms of government regulation about this, the government doesn't need to tell us that we need to protect our competitive assets. Our shareholders are telling us that.
This one comes from Chase Pettit. What do you think about the master passphrase key splitting schemes? What does it solve? What does it not solve?
It eliminates some of the jeopardy with a single point or a single source having the entire key. There is a little bit more security in that two parties have to come together to decrypt data, if you will.
Hello, welcome to the Department of Yes, where no request is ever rejected.
Here we go. Give the encryption keys for all databases and other sensitive data to all employees before they start. Send it to their personal emails so they don't have any barriers to productivity.
I guess at some point you could go ask anybody in the organization a question about any data, whether it's HR, finance stuff. So there's no barriers. Anybody can operate on any data.
Transparency wins. So having somebody have all of it before they get started gives them the ability to know what they're getting into right away.
You're going to send your private key offline by USPS so that it will never appear again for any cyber criminal to steal.
I want to support the USPS. I know that they've been financially challenged in recent times, and so it's part of my America First strategy and help the USPS by the cost of the stamp.
You can count on the USPS for delaying everything and for taking forever to deliver anything. I mean, your chances of losing data just plummeted. You just became safe because you depended on somebody that's consistently slow.
We talked about the delay of encryption. Is the lawyer probably the biggest delay we're dealing with?
It used to be lawyers, because I think lawyers caught on to this problem first, but it's not anymore. Now it's your C-suite and your board of directors that's saying, what are you doing to make sure your competitive advantage is sustained?
We have Brian Colt, who has joined us. Please, Brian, repeat what your bad idea was and defend it for that matter.
There's no barriers to productivity. It's the worst bad idea because you're sending encryption keys through to a personal email account.
And here comes Mike, just in the nick of time.
So mine was around USPS. You're sending it via USPS, right? So someone can open the mail, they'll probably see it, but ultimately you may not even have a private key by the time you're done with it.
Once you start getting into big data on any scale, you deal with holes in the data. The data needs to be transformed. It is absolutely going to be something that gets fixed by technology in the next decade. Big data can't deliver on its promise unless data can be combined without this stop-go encryption thing that we do today.
Encryption is not easy. Individuals need to educate themselves on the limitations of encryption and go beyond what's absolutely minimally needed because of compliance or because of some mandate, and start to look at data holistically, because every individual that's operating on data essentially has ownership for securing somebody else's privacy.
I'm very comfortable and confident in what's available today and how we use that. Information is our competitive advantage. It is every company out there's competitive advantage. And once that gets compromised, you lose your competitive advantage, or worse. So encryption is a utility, a necessary thing. It works great, but the next chapter is going to be super important. That to me is the real fallacy, if you will, for encryption, that it's not enough.